Welcome back to the Doper Show. Won't get sick. I'm Spencer, and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. Man, I'll tell you, in jail and prison, there are a few different things that can get you basically put to have a target put on your back and to inevitably get a butt whooping sooner or later. And I'm going to tell you about something that I had happen. It's been more recently, actually. Um, I got in trouble a couple times in the past. Year and a half. Like after I got back to relapsed, went down the rabbit hole with that. And there was a guy who came in there, and this guy is just a fool. Now, being somebody that actually trains, that fights, uh, you know, it's easy to see when people don't know how to fight. And this guy is an idiot pretending he knows how to fight. And he's like, these steps that lead to the top tier, and it kind of like makes a cross, like kind of like an X thing at the one part. And he starts punching just real robotically, acting like he knows what to do. It's like, it's good training here. And I'm like, Lord have mercy. And then he just walks around, you know, acting like he's shadow, but more like while he's walking, just looks ridiculous. And the guy's a complete nuisance. The guy's doing things that are annoying, really, really annoying. They have these things that you can sit your mat in. It's kind of like an egg crate, I guess. I don't know what you call it. It's a big plastic thing. It looks like a canoe you sit your mat in. And they have them there for the people because in Roanoke County Jail, you don't have a top bunk. Well, yeah, you do have a top bunk. I take that back. I think a few rooms don't have top bunks. But, if you choose not to sleep on the top bunk, which I didn't like hopping up and down from there, if you got to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, you got to wake your roommate up for pretty much. You have to step on your roommate's bed, essentially, to get to the top bunk. They don't even have ladders on the bunks there. So these egg crates, just in general, are more convenient for an unlimited number of reasons. But anyway, what ends up happening is this guy just progressively gets more weird and gets more annoying. He would take one of those egg crates and just flip it. Now, you could pick it up, turn it, and then flip it on the other side. And I don't know what he was doing, like try to do dips off of or something like that. But there was a different reason. One day he flipped it over and put the pieces of a puzzle that there was a puzzle in there, and he started doing puzzle on top of it. But instead of, being mindful and considerate of everybody else in the pod, and see, that's something that's a big misconception. A lot of people think that jail and prison are just, Vikings that are just dirty, don't know how to live, don't know how to act. It's not the truth at all. A lot of guys in there are the cleanest guys you'll ever meet who are OCD clean. And a lot of people in there are really, really respectful. In prison, in jail, you've got idiots. In jail was where a lot of people learn how to act from people who've been to prison. That's usually the people who've been put them in line. I did 5 years in a federal prison, so this behavior is just driving me freaking crazy because when he's dropping this egg crate, it's making a boom that is loud enough for everyone in the whole pod to hear. It's not quiet, it echoes, and it is so freaking annoying. Like you want to, I'm a mature person today. I don't get upset a whole lot over a whole lot of things, but if something scares me, like turns my, you know what I mean, like if it turns that on to where I'm thinking, something's going down, I might have to, smash somebody. I'm pissed off because in that type of environment you have to be ready because you don't know who's who. And this guy did seem like he might not quite be all the way there, but something that was said was somebody got on him and said something to him, jumped on him about it. And he made a comment that stuck with me. I remember his comment, I can't remember verbatim, but basically the gist of his comment was this. It's always something with somebody. And, it's always something with somebody. Basically, he was saying he always has a problem with somebody. There's somebody who always says something to him. So let me frame it this way. If it's always something with somebody, then maybe it's something with you. Maybe you're the person that's the issue. Ron White had a great comedy sketch, and it was about, he did a show on a military base, And there was a woman, he said it was something about there are 10,000 men on this base and blah, blah, blah. He started out his joke like that. And this woman said, and not a one of them's a good screw, you know what I mean? And he said, you'd think after, give or take basic math, 5,000 men, or probably 8,000 men on that base, 2,000 or whatever it was, I can't remember. He'd say maybe after you've been through that many, maybe, and you say they're all bad, maybe you'd look at yourself and say, maybe it's me. So basically, you'd think after it's everything with everybody, if that's something he hears frequently, that he would ask himself, maybe I'm the problem. But when you deal with selfish, narcissistic people, which is something that ultimately drugs revert people into being, and you have to teach yourself how to be an adult, how to be a man all over again once you get on drugs or once you get off of drugs again. Drugs revert you into wanting what you want when you want it. That's basically the definition of an addict. You want what you want when you want it. The definition of insanity is repeating the same thing, especially expecting different results and all that. But when you want what you want when you want it, and you're that selfish, you're not taking anybody else's feelings or how you act and what it can do to affect other people. And this guy is not taking anything of that into consideration. And there were so many people in there. It's a wild thing in the pod too. I've got a lot of stories about that. There's a lot of drugs in jail now too. Now I chose not to do drugs in jail. I choose not to do drugs in prison. I went 5 years without doing, I went through since April 9th, 2010 without doing heroin. But there was meth, coke, everything else. I chose not to do it in there. It was me personally. I made that choice not to do that, And in jail, I made the same choice, even though it was in there. But, this is part, I'm kind of segueing into this. During the time that this was all happening, drugs entered the pod. Somebody had 8 ball of speed that they must have had up the old prison wallet. You know what I mean? had up the tailpipe, and they broke off everybody on the top tier, meaning they got everybody on the top tier high. So everybody on the top tier is using, and then they were selling some off. They were selling some to people and everything else like that. I got offered some and turned it down, and I got offered it again multiple times because, and I'm going to say this, I'm proud to take it, and I'm an advocate for it. Nobody's ever died off solely buprenorphine, which is Suboxone, Subutex, and I take Suboxone. During my 12 and a half years of sobriety, I took Suboxone the 5 years after I got out of prison. It's a drug that you can continually take, just like people take medication for blood pressure, diabetes, or what the hell ever. If you're taking it as prescribed, dosed as said, I don't see a problem with that. If it's something that does that and it saves a lot of lives, so I'm proud to take it and proud to admit that I take it and advocate for it. But when I got in Roanoke County Jail, I went to the door and got my medication. Now, just the interesting thing, for those of y'all who are new here, I do something called going down the rabbit hole. That means I tell a story within a story. They got a regional jail, which unfortunately I had to go to a few months back too. I've had to go to jail a handful of times in the past year. I actually was called, I got a drunk in public in Botetourt, and I am Tater Salad, Ron White's joke. I told him my nickname was Tater Salad. My probation officer was looking at my papers, and she said, Tater Salad? What? And I said, oh God, they wrote that down. It's funny after the fact, but jail and probation, all that aren't funny. It's kind of funny looking back on it now. But anyway, at the regional jail, they give you Suboxone. And they give each person a Suboxone. This is the story within a story now. I'm going to return to the original subject. But anyway, you take the Suboxone, they make you show your hands, do this, show your mouth. They put the Suboxone on your tongue, and they handcuff you behind your back. And then they go to the next person. And you have to stay handcuffed for 30 to 45 minutes while they one at a time dose all 40, 50 people in there that get it. It holds about 1,200 people. It's a big regional jail. But anyway, you have to stand there, and then you have to show it and everything else. But at Roanoke County, I just get it at the pod door. And unfortunately, people saw me get it, put it on my tongue, then I got offered that a whole bunch. But people stayed high for about 3 days straight. And when you get to day 3 of a meth binge, which many people in this pod did, you get people that are not only in a state of delusion, but people that get in a paranoia, and a lot of people that get a temper. They get ready to fight, as I assume his roommate did, because his roommate said that he stayed up all night looking at himself in the mirror, and he picked the hairs out of his chin. And I'm sure this guy was probably on the meth too, you know what I mean, to be honest with you, and said he'd take the hairs and snort the hairs up his nose. I mean, this is the type of crazy stuff you have to deal with when you go to jails and prison. They're mentally ill people, and they're crazy people, and then they're people on drugs, which do stuff that's just as bad, if not worse, than mentally ill people. So take that into account. And his roommate basically put him in timeout. That was something they did with this other kid in there named Jacob, this blonde-headed young kid that acted like a fool. But anyway, the door is locked to the cells behind them, so you can't shut them all the way. You just crack them. Basically, pull the door to, but you don't shut it. Else you have to get them to pop it. He slammed the door shut, his roommate in there, and they popped the door, and he shut it back and locked him in there again. Well, his roommate starts pounding on it, and they end up popping it again, and he's like, "You're getting out of here, blah, blah, you're acting weird." Well, his roommate keeps on running his mouth like incoherent, like, "What's your problem?" And his roommate is significantly bigger than him. The guy who's caused all these problems that I've spoke about from the start of this video was roughly, probably about 5'10", 200 pounds, probably could have stood to lose 30. His roommate is probably 140 pounds soaking wet, but he looked like he knew how to fight reasonably, and it, basically ended up to his roommate jumping on him and beating the hell out of him to where he fell on the bottom bunk and was like this, and he was boom, 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 just letting him have it. And a couple guys came in there and split him apart, and shortly, just pretty much as soon as that, the guards hit what's called the deuces. That's just the terminology in there, which means they hit the button on their walkie-talkie or get on the radio, whatever. And all the cops from the jail, come into the pod, and they take both people out, and they both go to the hole. And what was weird enough is usually the winner of a fight typically stays in the pod, and they send the loser to another pod, because you come back and you lose, people are going to clown you, this, that, and it's kind of the way things are done. And it's pretty cool, I think. Winner of a fight gets to stay and all that, but they got to spend 2 weeks in the hole. They get tablets in there, though. It's not a bad thing. And a tablet, here's the crazy thing. Jail's a lot different now from when I did my first jail time, the original jail time. So I've got a lot more to talk about. This was never the plan. I never planned on relapse. I never planned on going back to jail. I also planned on never having my aunt die, fiance, 5 years leave the same night she's in a hotel room with another guy. And 2 weeks after that, married to him. And the guy's 22 years old, just to add icing on the cake, along with $12,000 my stepdad got scammed out of, and some other stuff. But anyway, I didn't plan on that either. You don't plan on these things. It's how you act on them. And, you got to act accordingly, and you got to handle them like a man and get through them. But sometimes even the strongest ones of us fall, and it's not how many times you fall, it's how many times you get back up and put yourself back together again, which is what I'm doing now. And because I'm living right today, I will not let anybody cast a perpetual rain cloud above my head and make me feel ashamed about what I am, what I do. Pretty much I affected a lot of people around me. A lot of people got upset, but more than anything, more than anybody, I hurt myself, and I'm lucky. I've got a good life. I've got things still to get. I've got the gym and everything else. I'm really, really lucky, and a lot of it is because I've got a lot of great people around me helping me, and a lot of people that love me, and I love them to death for it. And a lot of people that were there not only when times were bad, but when times were good. And, that's a big thing too. And, but yeah, they've got these tablets, and they've got Pluto TV, which is kind of like a thing. It costs 5 cents a minute. So you want to watch TV for it, it's not expensive watching. It's not expensive watching TV on there. It doesn't cost you that much money to watch TV on there for an hour a day. If you got money on your, if you got a little bit of money, you can watch TV. I shouldn't say that. Yeah, I say it's not. It doesn't cost a lot, but I guess that is, is a little bit for some people. It ends up adding up. If you want to watch it for, it costs a few dollars an hour, but like most people don't get but like $50-$60 a month. But and even with it, I just slept in there like 20 out of 24 hours a day. just slept in there, and it was just depressing. Uh, Man, I'm telling you, I'm really glad that I'm out of there now. But you know, $3 TV an hour, you know what I mean? Like talking about that type of thing, whatever, you know. I mean, that's the best you have to look forward to. They did have Tosh.0. They've got Tosh.0 on the channel, which was what I had in prison. I had a TV room that I pretty much controlled, that I had the remote for, that I dictated what was on there, except for when I went to lift weights for an hour. It was one of 7 TVs. After, go figure, a breakup, I got tired of 4 out of 7 TVs had the freaking Kardashians on them. And then the other 2 had ESPN, and the last one had Telemundo. I don't think I'd like it even if I could understand it. But anyway, if you've watched the video this far, up until this point, you think I earned it, press the like button. If you like the video, I ask for a like at the end, not at the start, because it doesn't make sense. You ain't watched it, I'm not going to ask you to press the like button. It doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, getting everything together, getting stuff prepared for microphones, got some good lazy boy chairs, and just a good, cool looking area to keep this thing rolling. I'm back to me. I'm gonna make a post every day. A post on here every day that I don't do a video, but and if you didn't, I apologize, because I've just wasted 16 minutes and 19 seconds of your life, in which you'll never get back. But anyway, have a good one.